if we decide to move ahead and you're making your building more efficient, what would you expect challenges and opportunities, not only for those who already have a management plan in place, items they might have overlooked, but for folks that haven't started yet?
One of the key things that a lot of people overlook when they're starting down this road of putting together energy management strategy or energy efficiency strategy, and that really is working with the right type of consultant or contractor. I guess in the same way, you probably wouldn't go and just hire some unlicensed engineer to help design an HVAC system for you, or an unlicensed lawyer to help you in court. It's the same sort of thing when you're starting to address the energy usage and performance of your buildings. There are energy professionals out there, many of whom are more qualified than others. And I've noticed in the past, particularly in the multifamily sector, a lot of times people get hoodwinked by distributors or manufacturers, people trying to sell them the next best thing. What you really need and want to work with is an independent, qualified consultant who has your interests in mind. And there are certifications, there are certain types of oversight that you want to look for that they possess. Things, for instance, like Building Performance Institute certification on how to actually audit a building, do an energy assessment. People who have credentials from the Association of Energy Engineers. Those types of and then NYSERDA helps to vet and promote who we consider to be qualified consultants as well. But finding that right partner can be absolutely critical between having a successful energy and building performance project or relationship and not having.
We want to tie back to our original discussion a little bit, winding down a little bit right now. We want to really just talk about last year. Not to keep bringing this up, but last year's polar vortex and Superstorm Sandy brought incredible challenges to some, if not all, energy users in the city of New York. Let's talk about the best lessons we learned from those extreme weather events and some strategies that communities can use going forward to minimize the impact of these events.
One thing is to establish your accounts with your energy providers, your oil providers early. A lot of the buildings are on interruptible systems, and when the temperature gets below freezing, there's going to be no more gas. You have to switch to oil. And I got inundated with calls last year saying, hey, I need oil. I said, well, do you have an account with us? No, I'm sorry. I said, well, you have to fill out a credit application. It's a process that you got to go through. Keep the tanks full, have an established account with a local provider who can deliver your oil in extreme conditions. They have the inventory, they have the trucking facilities in order to do that. Some of the other problems that we came across was a lot of the buildings had generators, but they were all on the ground floor. So you need to get the generators up over the floodplain because they were worthless. During Sandy, we were watching evacuations of hospitals because their generators were completely underwater, useless. So it's something to consider there. Just in time is not a strategy. Just in time inventory is not a strategy. Make sure, like I said, the tanks are full and you're ready to go for these harsh weather conditions, cold weather, and superstorms like Sandy.
What we experienced this past winter on the polar vortex, I think you really want to know what's in your supply contract, because I think the experience of many people was they thought they had a fixed price, but it ended up not to be quite so fixed. That there were provisions within their contract that allowed for certain components of the market pricing to vary with the market. And as a result, instead of having a fixed price that they thought they had seen in the contract, the prices just exploded. I mean, we were looking at prices in the NYSO market of $600 to $800 a megawatt, where they're normally $40, and you're looking at in the Pool, the New England area prices of $1,600 peak. So, I mean, that is like sticker shock when you have that bill, and that would, for most people. So, when your supplier says, I've got a fixed price for you, make certain it's a fixed price. And we had such confusion in bidding and pricing against our competitors that we wrote a white paper on this. So if you get on Con Ed Solutions website, there's a pricing white paper that says these are all the components that are in your commodity supply price from whomever you buy from, whether you buy from us, whether you buy from another ESCO. These are all the components. Make sure that you're aware that what's fixed. Now, that creating a fixed price is an insurance policy. So there is a premium to be had, so that getting that lowest price that you think you've got such a great deal may turn out that it's not such a great deal again. And again, it's your risk.
Moving on, we want to just talk real quickly about distributed and on-site generation for a moment. What challenges and opportunities are surrounding installing distributed generation, on-site generation, or sometimes referred to as virtual generation in New York. I wanted to start with Andrew, who could speak maybe a little bit about solar and battery systems.
There are opportunities now emerging, around using solar together with cogeneration and batteries in a smart way to make yourself, outage-proof, and to install backup power that pays for itself. And a lot of times we think of backup power as something that's a big capital expense the government not patent for. There are now programs, including the NYSERDA Con Ed Demand Management Program, that you can leverage to help turn that equation around and tap into the ability of these technologies to save on demand when coupled together, and the desire of the REV proceeding that's going on, which is kind of something that all of us know about. It's more of a utility thing, but some of the desire to close Indian Point, to change the way that consumers are using energy, is driving big changes behind the scenes, and make new offerings like backup power systems that pay for themselves a viable option. So I see that as something new and different. I think the story with solar right now is just that it continues to become more and more of a mainstream technology. It's one of the fastest growing industries in the U.S. period. I think in terms of raw jobs added, it's growing faster than any other industry in the U.S.
We're proud. We just recently partnered with Tesla in submitting a request for information in Con Ed's RFI for Brooklyn Queens. There's a capacity constraint that they need to deal with, and they're looking for out-of-the-box solutions, how to deal with that. And why ETS and Tesla? Well, the partnership there is that we're going after the data. And we mentioned earlier that we're putting it into leaders with the buildings. We're focused on the multifamily sector since it's underserved. New York State has a mandatory hourly pricing program for buildings that are 500 kilowatts and above. What about for all the buildings that are below 500 kilowatts? There's no mandatory program, so that by default, that market hasn't really been served or had a need. Really, there's an ignorance in the market that, well, if you had the data, you could just be more intelligent how to manage the buildings. So we're out there kind of, taking the genie out of that bottle, getting that data, and comes along Tesla and folks under Elon Musk, they're really smart. They really are smart guys. That's evident. They're wow. You get the word out and they're like 20 yards ahead. And they're looking at that data, and not just the meter data that we're extracting from the building, but we're also extracting other sensors throughout buildings. So we're getting data on temperature, humidity, occupancy, and movement. And they're building their little HAL right now. I'm dating myself, 2001 Space Odyssey, but they are. They're taking a battery and they're building a HAL, and they want to know all that data. They want to be able to take that data and optimize the building. So we're working together on that. And that's going to bring a different degree of intelligence in managing those types of assets.